While we didn't realize it was going to be such a huge taking, when we did realize, it was like, wait a second, it's okay. You know, our world has to continually evolve, whether it be for the interior of our building or the exterior of our building, whether it is your world right out in front and how many lanes of traffic you have. But you need to be part of the process, not part of the problem.
They spent a lot of effort mitigating concerns for businesses and homeowners. So it's not cheap, but I mean, it needs to be done. And as long as there's openness, honesty, and concern, the plan can work.
Through a mitigation program is assist those businesses getting through kind of these tight periods. And that also is very creative. You know, what can it look like? We've got businesses who maybe their visibility to begin with is poor. They've got an old sign or a sign that doesn't work, or it's a sign for an old business that used to be there. And so we might get them a sign that is much more recognizable, much more visible, and that would attract new customers and bring back their old customers. So they could be aesthetic mitigations that we do to do that. It could look like providing them some advertisement that they don't currently have because they can't afford it as a result of business having dropped. That brings in new customers. Or we might even develop some collateral material for them that we would then distribute.
Before the light rail station even comes in, we think about what the zoning should be for them, what needs to be facilitated, and then we actually work with developers to facilitate that to happen, even giving them subsidies if that's what it takes a little bit to get the ball rolling until it reaches critical mass, and then it doesn't need that help anymore.
One has to take into consideration that there is with every birth there's a pain, and we need to advise others that light rail, while it's great when it opens, it has a very painful start.
I think what was critical, and this was prior even to the trips, is the job piece, the economic empowerment, making sure that we are ready early on. And in Portland, they looked at different creative ways to include their minority business owners.
We have about $130 million in contracts for the minority business community here in Phoenix, which is very exciting, especially in today's times. People are struggling economically, and to be able to provide that level of opportunity is a pretty incredible thing.
We saw that the transit administrations in these different cities, as well as the office of mayors in these different cities, the offices of economic development within these different cities, did outreach and planning prior to construction, provided facade loans and signage, bridge loans, so that people could operate and operate well even during construction, and even sometimes temporary relocation during construction, so that they would not lose business, and so that they could continue to thrive economically.
And if you're part of the process, you get to affect the outcome. If you're part of the problem, not so good. Yes, you know, it's a negative for you, it's a negative for everybody. And there's too many negatives in the world. So best advice, communicate, be involved, get to know everybody. You might make some real new interesting relationships, which we certainly did.
What's key is that you know, there's a lot of grassroots support, but that doesn't come easily. I mean, it comes from the folks in TriMet and Metro doing the hard work that spanned like a 3-year process to involve the community residents and the neighbors and the business owners to get their input and incorporate their concerns and mitigate.
Informing your public early and often. 2, knowing your public early and often. Again, stakeholders are both pro-project and negative against the project. So you want both to be on the team and on board.
I was opposed to it in the beginning. Yes, I was, because I thought they're going to come and tear up the neighborhood, and what are we going to get out of it? So yes, I did. I will admit in the beginning, but after I saw what the community really needed, I was being selfish because I was thinking to myself, I didn't need public transportation, but then I saw the great need of the community, and that's when I became that's when I developed the passion.
We'd go and tell people, you know, we can't tell you what's going to happen here. We can tell you that Texas did a study that showed that there were higher property values. Denver has seen a difference. Portland has seen a difference, and go through the examples. so that they would see, well, you know, being a quarter-mile or walking distance to a station is not a bad thing.
We actually need the whole community to come out.
Come out and see what it's all about. It's a very exciting experience, and a lot of people is scared of new things, and they should try it. I found it to be very rewarding and exciting.
We saw a huge benefit to the entire city and to smart growth by having light rail.
They have new housing developments that are spurred on the train tracks going from east to west, north to south. I mean, just amazing. There's a lot of new construction going on even now when the market is kind of down. I'm sure the absorption rate's been affected, but there's a lot of new development. When we walked downtown today, we saw like several blocks where, I mean, all the stores are revitalizing because I guess they're anticipating, you know, the completion of the new line. So just very exciting things.
Finally, the city of Phoenix has got an alternative to the automobile. And a lot of Western cities were always auto-dependent. We now have a wonderful $1.4 billion project that I think is going to change the way we get around this community forever.
One of the things I've been focused on most in the last year and a half or so is the mixed-use developments that we have here at New Holly and Rainier Vista, and trying to make sure that those properties are developed in a way that we're taking full advantage of the proximity of those properties to the Sound Transit system.
So the Metropolitan Transit Authority, in various contractual ways, made exchanges of property, bought out some of our neighbors. You know, we cleaned up the land, and they're building a beautiful new school to last for the next 100 years.
A lot of the residents were excited. What they saw they could get here, how fast it could move them from one place to another, employment opportunities, development opportunities, to see what their community can become.
They just love it. Everybody loves it. Also, what's interesting to see is just the level of economic investment in the downtown areas.
This area right where we're having lunch is a great example of the economic improvement just by bringing in the light rail that it did for the business here. I was talking to the gentleman here from Portland, and he was saying how this was a down area. The businesses were just blighted out property. Now with the light rail have came in, the businesses are booming.
We see developers that are coming from outside this area being interested in land that they would have never touched before, especially now in these hard economic times right now. But they see what the future is going to bring once the station is here.
Having a light rail operating at grade, at a people scale, where folks can drive to the community and see the many offerings of the community, be it restaurants, be it the ethnicity of the area, be it the trees.
And we like the landscaping that they had up there, and the way they took the rain going down the spouts to water the flowers and plants. We like that too.
Construction is never a pretty thing, and a massive in-street construction project like ours, over 20 miles of urban development area, really impacted thousands of businesses. And our efforts, we thought, were the state of the art in the industry, but as every one of these projects learns, you've got to do unique and creative things on an ongoing basis.
They did piece by piece, I think, reach by reach approach, so the businesses weren't affected by demolishing or ripping up the street for long blocks, and so it minimized the amount of time and the construction period.
It's a balancing act. So we make sure that the contractor is able to stick to his or her schedule so that they can accomplish their goals, while also ensuring that there is a sensitivity to the community in which they're working in.